I'm delighted to be joined now by Shane Horan of Kilmacud Crokes ahead of the 2022 AIB Leinster GA football final, which takes place this weekend against the Downs of Westmeath. The AIB GA All-Ireland Club Championships feature some of #the toughest players from communities all across Ireland. It's these very communities that the players represent that make the AIB GA All-Ireland Club Championships unique. Now in its 32nd year supporting the club championships, AIB is extremely proud to once again celebrate the communities that play such a role in sustaining our national games. Shane, how are things with you, and what's it been like going on yet another journey with the Crokes?
Yeah, no, all good. I suppose, Jesus, only feels like yesterday we were starting off the Dublin campaign, but yeah, I think you just get into a routine and a schedule of a game every 2 weeks, and a hard week and a down week, and you go again. So no, it's exciting. It's mad to think we're into December now already, but enjoying it all.
Yeah, and the fact that you're in 2 finals, and then obviously the ladies football team as well. I mean, it's some going for the club at the moment.
Yeah, no, there's been something every weekend for people. I know even for us now, if we've the weekend off, there's normally a ladies game or the hurlers game to get to, which is nice to kind of not distract you, but kind of take you away. So even on Sunday to go into Croke Park and see the hurlers play there, obviously after being in there a couple of times with the footballers, it's nice just to be in the stand watching. You're not too worried. So no, it's going well, and I think everyone's enjoying in the club anyway.
Yeah, is there much fun over, obviously the 2 finals were flipped around because Brian Sheehy's involved with both the hurlers and the footballers, and generally he's been a starter for the hurlers and coming on for the footballers. But have you been making much fun out of him or on the WhatsApp groups, because it's turned into the Sheehy finals?
Yeah, no, like I was only slagging him straight after. I was like, "What's all this hullabaloo? You're a young lad. You should be able to just do both, But I know. Look, he's obviously it works out well for him. In that he can commit fully to the hurl and then have a bit of downtime before he comes in with us and potentially plays the last 10 or 15 minutes to if we're chasing the game, or else see it out. So no, look, I don't think it changes much. Obviously, as a club man, you'd like to go along and watch the final in full, but I think we'll just stick to our routine of probably arriving around half time in their game and maybe stick the head out for 5 or 10 minutes. But I suppose we're fully focused on what we have to do. So no, he hasn't been too slagged. We'll see how he is after.
Yeah. Would you have always been football only, man, or would you have played hurling as well growing up?
I did the 2 of them through nursery for a while, and then around, I'm going to say maybe 11 or 12, kind of soccer overtook hurling for me. I was never blessed at it. So I was kind of hopping between, sticking to the Gaelic and moving soccer clubs to accommodate it. But no, I think, to be honest, in my age group now, and I always think back to the Féile, there's a good group of lads won the All-Ireland Féile with that group. And I think, obviously, up to minor then we were still together. But when it came to go to adult, I think they had a bit more of a graw for the hurling. Kind of from that, I think. And a good few of them would have stayed at it. Obviously, Bill O'Carroll and Avon are still there for my age group. But you would have had Sean McGrath and a few other lads as well. So, yeah, no, most of my age group are doing the hurling, but no, I left them to it.
Yeah, and what about your Offaly links then? Because you did play with Offaly for a while. Which side is that from, mother or father?
Both, actually. So my mother's from Kilcormac and my dad Ballycumber. So yeah, the 2 of them were the link. And then yeah, no, look, I was fortunate to be asked. Obviously, to have a go at Intercounty was great. I enjoyed the couple of years doing it. Great bunch of lads, great setup, Intercounty setup. And then obviously it would have been the end of the season last year. I kind of knew I'd be stepping away. I was changing jobs and just didn't have the time commitment to it. That was required to keep it up. Plus, I had a couple of niggles and things like that. The body needed a bit of a reset. So, yeah, no, but a very enjoyable time.
How did you get called in, or how were they made aware that you had the Offaly links?
Unofficially, I think my uncle was batting my name around, seeing would someone bite, to be honest. But and I think it was over a few points. But no, they reached out. John Maughan gave me a text. We were coming up to the Dublin final in 2018, and he just gave me a text saying wishing me luck and said he'd touch base with me whenever it finished. And then obviously we lost him on Nocta, and then he just kind of reached out then over Christmas and just said would I be interested. So no, I was delighted to throw my hat in there for a while.
And like, what did you feel you got out of it? Was it an enjoyable experience?
Yeah, no, it was again, like other setups, it was incredibly professional. Like great setup there in O'Connor Park, Tullamore, and then also in Fatal Fields, the kind of training complex there. It was great to obviously see the commitment, be it fans and everyone coming to games, and how much they love it. From a personal perspective, then I suppose I was able to kind of highlight a few things from my kind of experience in the Dublin Championship, which is seen as quite competitive. And on the same side, then back with Crokes, I suppose we're all kind of, especially over the last 2 years now, we're all thinking quite similar about different things, be it pressing or dropping off or kickouts or whatever it might be, and to kind of have a bit of input from some of the guys in Offaly who would think slightly differently. It's great to have a fresh pair of eyes, and even for Shane Walsh being involved with us this year, it's kind of like that. He's a kind of different opinion so we're not as rigid, and he might mention something that a few of us didn't think about. So I think you take all those experiences and try to get the most out of them.
As a Midlands bogger who went up to South Dublin to play GAA, my accent was always something that actually kind of got you ahead. There was a bit of crack out of it. As a Southsider going down to Midlands bogland, was your accent made fun out of at all?
There was, yeah. They'd have a pop now and again. We did my first. They took to me well, but my first Christmas there, we had a night out, and we had Chris Kindle and the lads. They got me a Leinster rugby hat, and there's a few chants of Leinster. So I had to take that for a while. But to be fair, a few of them, the Tullamore lads, rugby would be bigger for them than it is for me. So it's a bit of a contradiction, but I know I took it well, and I know they're a great bunch of lads. I'm still in touch with a few of them anyway, so it wasn't too bad.
And so you've had a lot of success the last few years, but obviously you've had a few tough days as well. And the fact that you mentioned Mullinlough, that's one that obviously must have stung a lot. And then of course what happened and the way it happened against Kilmacud the last year or so. So what's the mood like in the camp, and how much did those ones sting at the time?
Obviously at the time that they do sting, and probably the 24 hours after, it's quite intense. But after that, to be honest, I think we've got quite good at taking learnings from it and moving on. Like you say, Mullinlough, a big one for me then is the Dublin Championship in 2019. We kind of came into that thinking we were well set to go again, and Thomas Davis turned us over. They were better on the day and everything like that. Then similarly in 2020, we lost to a very good Ballymun side as they won Dublin. So like all of the losses, you kind of take something from them and try to bring it into the next day. The Kilmacud one, obviously we just look to kind of park it, take a bit of time away. We obviously know how competitive Dublin is, so even to try and look at back-to-back Dublin titles was a big challenge, because you could have 4 or 5 teams fighting for it. So that kind of put us in the mindset of just taking each game as they came, and obviously try to play our game but adapt it to each opponent we had. So that's kind of been the mantra, the kind of process since.
Can you explain the feeling when you saw Kilmacud? And not, I know it's a tough one, but when Kilmacud made that last attack, can you explain your view of it and what you were seeing?
Yeah, I was in the half forward line, and I think when they won it back and started to attack, I felt like I was kind of tracking back but going incredibly slowly. And to be fair, they were going at pace. And again, look, they put it away, and it's a bit of a surreal moment in that there's obviously cheering going on, but it's kind of a hollow sound around you in a kind of strange Croke Park. It's great to be in Croke Park with the crowd, but at the same time there is that kind of hollowness to it and a bit of an emptiness in those moments especially. But it doesn't keep me up at night, but it's definitely something you do think of now and again.
And with Paul Mannion being injured, I suppose you thought you were going to have an unbelievable forward line with Paul and Shane Walsh. Obviously, Paul's injured at the moment, but like the loss of Paul, the fact that you've still been able to kick on and look so impressive. What does that like? I mean, let's say Shane Cunningham seemed to be on the bench a little bit. Maybe there was a niggle or something. I don't know. But is he the captain? And then he was, he had to come back into the team afterwards. So it's obviously not easy for someone like him, who's a prominent figure, to be on the sideline and then coming back in.
Yeah, well, I suppose I would have been on the sideline for the first up until the semi-final as well. Like I think we've a great bunch that we'll do whatever we need to get over the line. Obviously, as a player, you're always saying you'd rather go from the start and give 30, 40 minutes empty the tank. But if it's a case, Robbie and the coaches think, no, we need you for the last 15 or 20. You kind of, obviously it hurts, but you have to do what you need for the team. And I think we all know that we're kind of accountable to the group. So if I'm or anyone's moaning about only being a sub, there's I'm going to say 8 to 10 lads who probably aren't on the 26 who are training just as hard and all those things. So you kind of have to nearly kind of let that bring you back to, all right, we're all rowing in the one direction. What do I need to do? Yeah, him being injured, obviously, look, when you have someone like him or Shane Walsh in the forwards, it kind of helps the rest of the forwards in that teams kind of, your marker might have to be wary of, okay, I need to give a dig out over here, and that might buy us all an extra couple of seconds or whatever. So we just need to take advantage of that.
Is Paul far away? Is he a good bit away yet from returning?
Once I heard he wasn't back soon, I was about to say forgot about him, but I kind of just parked it. But no, he's been. I haven't. He's been around the trainings, and he's been in the gym a good bit. So I think he's on the road. As regards a return, I'm not sure. And again, I think we're just focusing on if there is any injuries for the next game, get those lads right and focus on getting them set. So, but no, he's a great look. I think the end of last year, after him getting injured against Port Arlington, we would have had the Nace game, Pierce's and Kilmacud without him. And I think we all just said, look, we have to step up here. We're not a one-man show, which probably would have been the perception for a long time. So I think everyone's kind of shared the load. And look, Shane's come in, and obviously he's another exceptional footballer, but he's kind of rode in behind that process as well. Obviously kicks, scores that the rest of us dream about, but does the other stuff as well with us, be it on kickouts on our press or chasing back and blocking space. So no, everyone's rowing in the one direction.
When you contrast the game that you had against Port Arlington last year versus this year, I mean, they barely got a sniff against you this year. You dominated for so long. I don't think they scored from play until the 40-odd minute. What changed compared with that last year and this year that you dominated so much this time?
Yeah, I don't think we underestimated them last year, but we would have all come out of last year thinking they were one of the better teams we played. So we kind of knew that the challenge that was ahead. I think when we went into the game, we just said it has to be at our tempo. And again, I know people are giving out saying it's boring and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I think we just want to manage the game and inject momentum when we see fit. And again, it's up to other teams to kind of stop us doing that, which Port Arlington weren't able to, and probably would be a bit aggrieved if they didn't show themselves. Again, we added a couple of scores at the end of the game, probably put a bit of gloss on the scoring. But yeah, we did well defensively, just kind of negating their strengths, and a couple of good matchups we got right. So yeah, we were just glad to come through that one.
And what did you make of the Downs' win over Ratoath? It was a pretty cracking match.
Yeah, I didn't. So we went back in the club after the game, obviously chatting to a few people who got in for a bit of that game before us, and they were saying it was at a ferocious pace. And obviously we've looked at the video since, and they are an athletic, aggressive team with a couple of very good scores. They put moves together, and then very aggressive in the tackle and turnovers, things like that as well. So no, we definitely have our work cut out for us. But as I said, we focused in on their strengths, try and negate them, and then maybe target some of their weaknesses or play our games. So I think every time you're coming into a match, half of it's on improving yourself from the last day, and half of it is on the opposition.
What's Robbie Brennan like as a manager, and is he the sort of guy who in the future could be considered for Dublin?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think he was teasing Mead for a while that he was going in or whatever. But no, he's great. Look, I think he knows we've a great bunch there of players who kind of have been through it, who have experiences. So I suppose he lets us kind of figure things out as needed, and then interjects when he has to, and kind of keep us on the right path. That we're not going down rabbit holes or anything like that. So and look, he's keeping the group. There's kind of one group goal here, and he's keeping everyone. I'm not going to say everyone happy, but he's just keeping us all rowing in the one direction. And then we've a great kind of selector and coach group there as well, who have input across defending, attacking, and different kind of plays. So no, we've a great group there.
Okay, well look, it's been great chatting to you, Shane, and best of luck in the final against the Downs.
Thanks, Shane. Cheers.
Okay, and this Saturday we also have the UCD Coaching Clinic, December 3rd, noon. Ger Brennan, Paul Galvin and Stephen Poacher are going to be giving out tips for aspiring coaches, and whether you're a hurling or a football person, there'll be plenty to be picked up because there's so much crossover between both codes. Check the video description for a link to go and get tickets for that.